September the 9th, 2019. As you're looking at the 5-day outlook from the National Hurricane Center, we've got 4 systems. You've got Tropical Storm Gabriel in the top, and you've got the one that's pointed at Florida, and you've got 2 more in the Atlantic. One is in the very central part that we've been watching, that one, and the one pointed towards Florida for a couple of days. And in the last video, we talked about the system that was going to move off of Africa. And you can see now as we, let me scan over this again, start up here. Gabriel is 50 mile an hour sustained winds. This thing's supposed to move north and get out of here. The system here got a 20% chance of cyclone formation within the next 5 days. And it's disorganized right now. It says environmental conditions could become a little more conducive for development when the disturbance moves near the northwestern Bahamas, South Florida, and over the southeastern Gulf of Mexico late this week. And you can see in the yellow cone, guys, that's telling you that the actual track can go anywhere within that area. It can go south of the Florida Keys and into the Gulf of Mexico, just like they said, or move further up north. The Bahamas don't need any more damage. We don't know the strengthening of the storm, but it will be moving into warmer waters. Now, in the center, this is Disturbance 1. Now, Disturbance 1, it has a 30% chance of development in the next 5 days. A weak area of low pressure associated with a tropical wave centered about 1,200 miles east of the Lesser Antilles continues to produce organized showers and thunderstorms. Some slow development of the system is possible during the next 2 or 3 days before upper level winds become unfavorable for tropical cyclone formation. The system is expected to move generally westward across the tropical Atlantic Ocean for the next several days. Now, the one that's moving faster, that it is coming in behind it, they're calling this Disturbance number 3. It has a 20% chance of cyclone formation within 5 days. Tropical wave currently near the west coast of Africa is expected to move quickly westward during the next several days. Some slow development is possible late this week or over the weekend when the system is several hundred miles east of the Lesser Antilles. Again, a 20% chance of formation within 5 days. We'll keep an eye on it. Now, as of 7 p.m. Eastern Time tonight, these are the current models for Disturbance number 1, one that's in the very center of the Atlantic. And you can see most of the models agree that it's going to cross into the Caribbean. Again, we're going to keep an eye on this thing. Now, guys, if we take a look at the Canadian model, you can see what the both storms in the center. Gabriel's just pulled out between 2 high-pressure systems. You see in the orange. Then the Disturbance number 1 on September the 19th is over the Windward Islands, and the system behind it is forming in the central Atlantic. Check this out. Also notice that there's a system in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm going to let it play again. We don't know how this will develop, but it does show a low pressure center entering the Gulf right in that area right there along the 16th. So again, we'll just have to keep an eye on it. But this is the Canadian model, and they were real accurate about the path of Dorian going up the East Coast, even where it was going to come ashore in the Carolinas. This And switching to the GFS, the Global Forecast System, guys, you can see as you got these 2 low pressure systems, and the one coming behind it, there's 2 right there, overtakes it. And I talked about that in 2 videos ago, and it's the stronger system. Now look at the path. Very similar to Dorian, except it does not get as close to Florida. It comes up to the very outer edges of the western side of the Bahamas and moves north. Now, we know this will change, but this is what they're showing now in the Global Forecast System. Becoming a very strong storm, by the way, so we hope it stays out to sea. Again, we are dealing with the cooling of our planet. It's a necessary evil so that we do not overheat. And this is how they do it. And we talked about this before. Those hurricanes lift a tremendous amount of air into the upper atmosphere and cool it off the surface of the sea and in the rains, guys, and just that's what it does. That's how the earth keeps itself cool, being close enough to the sun to support our life and the life form of many other plant species, animal species. So a lot of people want them to knock these storms out, whatever they got to do to them, and it's going against the very thing that we need, because when we're in when we're in grand solar minimum, our shields are weaker. During that time, we have more cosmic gamma radiation penetrating through the atmosphere. You can tell it with the sunburns. You can tell it with crops and pets, livestock, and it happens very quickly. So these storms will become more severe until we go back into a solar maximum and the shields replenish themselves. They act off the solar wind. Again, this is what we're looking at. I want to take a look at some actual satellite imaging, and let's see what they look like. Now, looking at the wide Atlantic, there's a couple things I want to point out. First, over the southeast right here, guys, this just came over our house. As a matter of fact, we're still getting some pretty heavy thunder and lightning. That we missed the worst of it right where I'm at, but just south of us, it was hail and lightning, rain, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and you can see it popping up north of Vicksburg, up around Eagle Lake now as far as the most intense. But anyone in this area, and be aware of it because it's been so hot, we were having a 110-degree heat index. Now the heat index is 64, just as it's starting to get a little darker, but it's heavy cloud cover at 6:31 p.m. And it's all that moisture is being pumped out of the Gulf of Mexico. See that? And there's not a lot of wind shear in the opposite direction, so we're going to really have to pay attention. Here is the storm that they're watching that's got the cone pointed up around Florida. It could go into the Gulf. It will be in conditions that will be more conducive. Here, we're actually starting to see some rotation with this first storm that they were watching coming off the coast of Africa, guys. They're watching. It's a low-pressure system. It's hard to see on this radar. It hasn't developed yet. That's why they've got it at a low percentage. But it will be moving in behind this area, and you saw what the models are doing with that. That's the one I said in a few videos ago that I'm more concerned about than any of these. But with the weather the way it is, all of these could be very concerning. So, again, these storms can pop up very quickly. Look, again, talking about Florida and talking about Central Atlantic and off the West African coast. Now, a closer look at this radar. And this is the storm closest to Florida. You can see the islands, and just north of that, you have a series of disorganized thunderstorms. And just to the right of those thunderstorms, right here in this area, guys, there's a center of low pressure. If this catches up with these storms, then you can tell there's a lot of energy there. It's already moving at a good clip. We're going to have to pay attention to it, and that will be the first thing that we have to keep an eye on. We will also have to watch the Gulf of Mexico, but this thing would love to get wrapped up with all of these storms, and that's going to be a problem, guys. So, again, don't let your heads down in the Bahamas or South Florida yet. And zooming in on the West African coast, moving out into the Central Atlantic. Here on the left side, the system has already started to get rotation in it, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Coming off the coast of Africa here. This one concerns me more than any of them as far as the overall strengthening. And the two models that we looked at showed that. The GFS showed this storm overcoming this one. It's going to have to be moving very quickly to do that, or you will have two separate storms. But again, we've got a 1, 2, 3 situation coming across the Atlantic, guys. And I wanted to talk about that. Again, I want you to think about something. Florida, you got a very close call. Even though I saw some tremendous waves of some of the Jacksonville, for instance, webcams and stuff of the piers, even there. And so that as the storm was setting off the coast, moving across Bahamas and moving north there. And so that was telling you how much energy did not get to you just by the impact of those waves. So, guys, be prepared. Be prepared to move, first of all. And then if it's not a powerful storm that you think you have to evacuate from, be prepared for power outages. And guys, go over to our website. Every day, My Patriot Supply gives us new specials on water filtration, long-term, short-term emergency food supplies, survival supplies, things like that. And they've been with us for a long time. But go to BPEarthWatch.com. And if you will, scroll down to the bottom of the page and subscribe to our newsletter. If anything happens to our channel, you'll be getting the alerts from that subscription. We won't do anything with your information, and all you have to put is your email address. That will it will not only give you any notifications of what we're doing and when we put videos on the website, if that becomes necessary, but it will give you tremendous savings, sometimes 50-60% off on supplies that you're looking for. And now don't forget that My Patriot Supply, again, click here and you get 12-month interest-free financing on these products. And so you can buy a long-term storage supply and to spread that note out, again, at 0% interest over a year. Be prepared. Take care of your family, guys. This is a heads up. Watch for updates. Be safe.